In August of 2025, a post was published on Reddit's r/grad school subreddit, a discussion forum for current, former, and prospective postgraduate students by username ZealousIdeal-Gain520, identified by the surname Goo. At the time, Gu was 22 years old. He was an international student from China who had come to the United States to pursue a fully funded master's program at the University of Houston. His decision to study in the US had been shaped by previous academic experience, a semester spent at Cornell University, which he completed without incident. But this time was different. In his post, he recounts what happened upon his arrival at the US border. First, he was allowed to claim his luggage. Next, he was escorted to a secondary inspection room by a customs officer for further questioning. I watched helplessly as he went through my clothes, books, and personal items, one by one, he wrote. He was then subjected to further questioning, as officers pressed him on topics largely centered on potential ties to the Chinese Communist Party, his own affiliations, as well as those of his family. While Gu's parents were party members, he himself was not. Like many Chinese students, he had only joined the Communist Youth League during middle school, a common and largely routine affiliation. Following the interrogation, his electronic devices were confiscated, and officers demanded access to all of them, including passwords. He was then escorted to a waiting room, where several other Chinese nationals were being held. According to his account, 2 of the students there were already facing deportations and had been issued 5-year bans from re-entering the United States. After an hour or 2, Gu was called back for further interrogation. As he entered the room, the officer shut the door forcefully and demanded to know why Gu had failed to disclose that he was, in their words, affiliated with the CSSA. Caught off guard, Gu attempted to explain, but the questioning quickly intensified, focusing on details he had not considered significant. After 3 rounds of interrogation, spanning several hours, Gu was ultimately informed that he would be removed from the United States and barred from re-entry for 5 years. Gu and his fellow Chinese nationals were detained. They were kept in an environment similar to a prison cell. They were provided with basic necessities meant for survival. They were treated as not even humans. At one point, he described an officer lingering at the front desk, watching them casually, as if we were captured prey. They knew little to nothing regarding their flight. They were only told that they would board 20 minutes prior to departing. He later wrote, "By evening, I had been detained for an entire day. My spirits were crying. The only thing saving him from this nightmare was deportation."
The U.S. State Department will work with the Department of Homeland Security to aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. And it goes on to say they also plan to enhance scrutiny of all future visa applications from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong.
But this was not always the story.
Good evening. President Carter, on short notice, is addressing the nation tonight on a subject the White House describes as good news and of national and international importance. The signs pointed to a breakthrough in restoring diplomatic relations with China.
One night in 1978, President Jimmy Carter got a phone call at 3 a.m. from a top advisor who was visiting China. Deng Xiaoping insisted I call you now to see if you would permit 5,000 Chinese students to come to American universities, said the official Frank Press. Tell him to send 100,000, Mr. Carter replied. The exchange marked the beginning of a spark that would fuel both nations. The US receives a large pool of talents, while China gains a partner in transforming its economy. Education symbolized the bridge that would lead to a deeper understanding of culture and communication. Hundreds of thousands of Chinese students, eager to broaden their horizons, would have the opportunity to engage in advanced research in America. It was a time of promised prosperity and advocacy.
When the University of Iowa was founded in 1847, a Chinese student was likely a rare sight. Now, nearly 1 in 10 students here are Chinese. Star Shen is from Zhejiang province. He was drawn to the small-town atmosphere of this campus in the American heartland.
This is such a friendly city that I want to be here.
He says U.S. students value the diversity the Chinese students bring to campus.
They really wanted to know what a Chinese student perspective is towards a certain topic.
Fast forward almost 50 years, and this ongoing exchange continues to fuel America's growth in technology and economy.
I know many people, when they think of the idea of Chinese students in the United States, they think of it just in terms of the soft power and the influence. But I think, as all of us know, while there's an important soft power angle to it, it becomes much more important to American hard power, American commercial power. And I think for a lot of folks, they think that our top service export might be something related to tech, or it might be internet services, or it might be finance. But in point of fact, or even tourism, our number one exports in services is education.
The U.S.-China Business Council's newly released 2025 export report found spending by Chinese students and their families in the United States amounted to $14.4 billion in 2023. That's worth repeating. Nearly 30% of all U.S. education exports worldwide.
And so in 2024 alone, Chinese students contributed nearly $15 billion to the U.S. economy and supported 143,000 American jobs. Students, Chinese students, particularly those in STEM fields like engineering and quantum computing, represent really a vital talent pipeline for American innovation and global competitiveness.
Dollars matter, yes, but the dividend is far greater. Roughly 277,000 students from China studied in the United States in the 2023-24 academic year, forming lifelong friendships, building professional networks, and feeding the talent pipelines that power American research and innovation.
The contributions that Chinese students have once made in STEM are now being used against them as accusations, claiming that they are leaking information. Gu had described seeing 2 other students in the waiting room who were also told that they were being deported. One was a PhD in applied physics, the other in electrical and information engineering. At the end of his story, Gu had described his state of mind. I flew over the sunrise on the coast of the California mountains and fell into a deep sleep, uncertain of what my future would hold. What does the future hold for Chinese international students in America?
Hi, my name is Ruby Liu. I'm a venture capitalist. I invest in startup companies, technology-related startup companies. I have investments in the US as well as Asia.
I'm Li Yuan. I'm a columnist at the New York Times. I write about China, anything about China.
Hi everyone, my name is Zoe Lu, and I am 17 years old. I'm currently studying in the United States, and I came to the United States at the end of 2023.
Oh, so I came to the US when I was 17 to attend college, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And then I went to Johns Hopkins University to attend graduate school.
I was a Chinese student in the United States for 2 years. I went to 2 graduate schools. I went to Columbia Journalism School, and I also went to George Washington's International Relations, Elliott School of International Relations. So I really benefited. I also got 2 scholarships, 2 fellowships from both schools. So I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to come to the US to study and to learn American journalism. It really helped me to get my foot into mainstream American newspapers, the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, 2 great newspapers.
Because I went to the US, I got to expand my horizon. I got to explore more opportunities. And then I became a Wall Street banker. And then I became a venture capitalist. I've been through US immigration for the past 20-some years. And so it's actually last 30-some years. And whenever I go in and out, so I have to go through immigration, largely very smooth. It was simple questions and they chop it and then let you go in, right? If I were to come to the US nowadays, I think the experience probably would be a little bit more challenging, a little bit more fearful, because right now there's an increase of xenophobia.
Last winter break, I went back China again. When I landed in the United States in the San Francisco airport, I went through the immigration part, and I can feel really clearly that they started asking more questions. During transit time, I was stopped by ICE. He asked for all my documents, like my I-20 and my passport. And I was telling all the truth, but suddenly he stared at me, and then he said, you know you are lying, right? Step back in a very rude way. So it was so unexpected, but because I have the legal documents and then I was telling all the truth, so I was not scared to be deported. And then he threw back my document to me, and then he let me go.
You know, it makes sense to prod people with ties to China's military-industrial complex, but it's something entirely different to deny visas to 18-year-old students who, simply because they are Chinese and they hope to pursue a degree. So I just think it's very sad for both countries that it has come to this. Many Chinese still look to education in the United States as a pathway to a great career, and also they want to experience what it is like to live in a free society. I really think education is a very important part of soft power for the United States. By refusing visas to Chinese students, the U.S. is losing its soft power. Another thing is, if you go to the Silicon Valley, if you go to the AI companies, you will be surprised how many of the engineers are from China. I really think the U.S. government was shooting on its feet. I think one big advantage the American society has over many countries was its openness. It's an immigrant society. It has so many founders of great companies are immigrants. Well, they are children of immigrants. I just think that it also reflects the policy of revoking Chinese students' visas also reflect the state of the U.S. government or the American society at this moment.
Because while America views them as spies and a threat to society, many Chinese companies too now refuse to hire international students, seeing them as being too Western. International students who had wanted to pursue their field of interest now face rejection from both countries that view them as outsiders. In the turmoil between these two nations, young adults hoping to simply pursue a better education are now taking the brunt of it all. So the real question is, what lies in the future of not just Chinese international students, but also America's status as a global superpower built from the contributions of millions of foreign talents that they are now pushing away?